What does it mean to be free? Is Zambia free? These and more questions will be answered by our guest, but we'll circle or look at this from the angle of an entrepreneurship, because what keeps a country moving forward is the bright, the brave, and the passionate, determined young people who are not just sitting back in the background, but they're taking up their places in history, just like our founding fathers took up their places in history to fight for freedom. But now there's a different fight 61 years later. Is Zambia positioned economically to be the breadbasket of Africa or perhaps Southern Africa? To answer these and many more questions, we have two distinguished entrepreneurs. Joining me first is Mr. Gilbert Mwale, and the other colleague joining us is Madam Cholwe Ellen Shabukali. So let's go to Mr. Mwale. Mr. Mwale, can you introduce yourselves to our listeners and our viewers?
Thank you very much, Mr. Noah Ndlovu. I appreciate the opportunity to be here again. And hi, everyone who's watching and listening to us. My name is Gilbert Mwale. I'm a serial entrepreneur and been doing this activity for the last decade. So interestingly, first of all, I'm a computer scientist. I studied computer science. I have a master's in computer science from India, and I've always, loved to see how technology could actually be, utilized to solve people's problems. So I started a company called IMSICA, and IMSICA simply is helping emergent farmers turn, into large scale or what you would call commercial farmers. And I've also then later on grown to actually start another company called Jubina Capital, where we are looking at democratizing the access of finance for women marketeers, most especially the poor women marketeers in the urban areas. And that's something that I find exciting. As well as also, I've moved ahead to start another organization called Worldwide Gospel Missions, because on the other end, I would love to see, the word of God shared out everywhere. And it's in there where we have, several activities that we do. We train on evangelism, we train on discipleship, leadership design, as well as also organizational design. And we used to do what is called entrepreneurship training, but we've built that into a separate school now that is called Agape Business School, where we are simply, training people on how to actually build businesses, targeting mostly people who are doing salons, people that are doing, little restaurants and small barber shops and businesses like those, with a turnover of about 3,000 kwacha per month, trying to help them actually, build systems so that they can replicate the efforts that they have created and see themselves scaling. So this is what I do, and I'm looking forward to having a wonderful conversation with Mr. Ndlovu here. Thank you. I think we have obviously spoken over the idea of what independence simply means to me, and I think this thought stays the same. Is that independence gives you what is called freedom, and in freedom there is what comes as what is called the responsibility of freedom, and that's the thought that I got to learn this, I think, from somebody, which is the responsibility of freedom. So freedom is a place where one has the opportunity to do what they want, as long as it does not infringe on the rights of the other person, because obviously it's around freedom that everybody's, rights are then defined, and obviously what human rights usually the typical, small skeleton explanation of that is that, it just simply do not cross over into, your rights end where mine begin, kind of is the picture there. Now, with that understanding that every one of us has their own rights, every one of us now then is free to do what they would like to do, is then that there are things that, you then you have to then deal with as an individual. Is that obviously the responsibility to wake up and work is yours. Is that obviously the responsibility for you to take time, get a book, read it, go and attend school is yours. Apart from the fact that obviously parents will be urging you and encouraging you to go and do so, is that they cannot actually, punish you to an extent of of even killing you if you decide you're not going to do those things. If you decide you're going to be a pauper and you're just going to go and sleep at home, is that is your responsibility. And for me, that is what comes to mind strongly when I think about, the issue of independence. And on the other hand, I would also like to think about the people that actually, fought for what is called political independence, for us to be able to walk around freely the way we are right now in Zambia. It reminds me of the people that actually fought for independence. For example, we have people like Simon Mwansaka, we have people like Kenneth Kaunda, and the whole entire group. I believe that, when I look back and read about some of the history about these people, is that they were not very old people when they were doing this. They were young and energetic people. And if you listen to some of them speak, you can see that you can hear the eloquence, you can hear the soundness of mind. You don't see any, of what we look at right now as, the youth that are incapacitated in actually, holding positions of leadership or being able to guide, with policies or make very big decisions. Is you don't see that issue. Therefore, there is a thought that comes to mind for me, is that if they could do it at that time, they could make such critical, powerful decisions that have changed this nation. Now it's almost like 64 years. In the same vein, with the same freedom that I have as well, what am I doing with it? So this is the question that actually pops up consistently at the back of my mind as I think about, our independence that is coming on the 24th of October. Thank you very much.
Joining us now is Cholwe Shabukali. Madam Shabukali, your introduction before we get going.
Thank you so much for having me, Mr. Noah. So Cholwe is my English pronunciation, but my tribal pronunciation is Jolwe. So Ndalumba Kapati, I'm very happy to be here and to share my experience on this wonderful platform. So yes, without further ado, I am a young entrepreneur who's been pursuing a career within esports entertainment, which is electronic sports. So with the evolution of the digital space, so has sports also evolved over the past 30 years. So we've seen sports go digital. So I have been within the ecosystem of our industry as a pioneer who founded Zambia's first electronic sports organization and team in 2017 under the guidance of a wonderful incubation hub called Bongo Hive, located right here in Lusaka, Zambia. And I also am the current General Secretary for the Esports Federation of Zambia. So personally, people might be wondering, why would a woman or a young lady be pursuant in a career that's predominantly male and gravitates towards digital skills in gaming? So my journey started when I was a kid, between 5 and 6 years old. I had a family that was predominantly male, so I was surrounded by a lot of male cousins. So I had to do what they were doing to have fun, and to connect. And what they were doing most of the time was playing video games. So that's when the peak of interest started. However, when I got into university, I was invited to a local tournament at Evelyn Horn, hosted by a wonderful organization called Nedotaku. And there I saw a lot of young gamers come all the way from Matero, Kalingalinga, Kawata, all walks of life, all walks of economic standards from family backgrounds. And everyone was there playing games, and they were playing it at a high level. So flashback to 2017, unfortunately, I had to temporarily drop out from my bachelor's of public health. And that really got me thinking to say, okay, I've temporarily dropped out from school because of financial issues family-wise. What can I do to really make a difference, not only for myself, but also for my peers around me? And that's how Team Geometrics was formed in 2017. And under the guidance of Bongo Hive, we've gone to really learn more about creating the foundations of a business. Our team has successfully won over 7 Sub-Saharan Africa championships. We've had our players participate overseas in the United States, Ireland. We've participated in South Africa, Kenya, Malawi, and locally in Zambia as well. We've achieved this success through bootstrapping, pushing the business and just really believing in ourselves and the vision behind creating a sustainable career for gamers who really just play games in Kawata, in a game center, and they've got the spark, they've got the talent, but they don't know how to hone their skill, how to nurture it, how to create a brand, and really how to monetize their talent. So that's where our brand, Team Geometrics, came in. So I'm excited to say that because of the evolution of sports currently, we created the Esports Federation of Zambia, where I'm a founding member. And we are seeing a buzz of opportunity that's coming up that is going to require a lot of Zambian representation. We've got the Esports World Cup, where annually players from around the world compete for $70 million. We've got our sport now recognized as an Olympic sport internationally, so we'll be competing there. We've got the Africa Union Region 5 officially recognizing us as a sport as well, so we have competition there. So a lot of mother bodies like the Global Esports Federation and the International Esports Federation are also pushing a lot of annual tournaments for this. So other than that, I have also created an initiative called Geometrics Musimbi that falls under our parent company. And this is predominantly formed to focus on nurturing female talent. Through our partner, Sages Africa, every year we have the opportunity through their partners in the French government to bring Zambian talent in front of the big stage. So every year we usually take a female participant to participate and represent Zambia, either in Kenya or South Africa. So that's really a nutshell about my career and how my career started in video games and esports.
What, apart from, was there anything else that sort of inspired you to take this route? Or was it just mostly your background? Because you say you dropped out from public health and now I take it you are doing this full time. Were there any other motivations that sort of pushed you into this direction? And what really made you say, hey, let me just get away from this public health and just venture full-time into this space?
Okay, so I am still going to pursue my public health degree. It's very important for me. I do this, I juggle a lot of things. I'm a serial entrepreneur similar to Gilbert, so I juggle a couple of things. So I do have a full-time career in digital marketing. And then I also tackle my passion, which is, the esports sector predominantly as well. So one of the things that really drove me to this, other than, being surrounded by the foundation of, a family that was predominantly male, was because I was very intrigued by the challenge the challenge of doing something that was out of the box, something that was new, and something that people dared me to say, you're not going to do it, this thing can't be real, and there's no way to make any money or any way to create a sustainable career. So to me, I always see it as a challenge to myself to say, can I set the foundation for people like me who had no options at the point, but all they had was their skill, and create a bridge for them to have the opportunity to create something solid that can actually help them create a foundational career for themselves. So I'll give an example of one of our players. Before, Team Gematrix and being signed to us, he had never been on a plane. All he was familiar with was just playing in Kawata and Matero and being like the baddest player in the game centers. But after joining our team, he's flown around the world. He's made a name for himself, and now he's one of the best Mortal Kombat players. I would arguably say the best Mortal Kombat player in Africa. And yeah, he's seen that success. He's been able to make some money, give back to his parents, and also create a career for himself. So that's predominantly why I see it as a challenge for myself. And right now, the next challenge is to really focus on the female landscape. And we've created a community with a lovely young lady that I work with called Ruth. We've created a girl community where we have over 96 gamers in a WhatsApp group, and soon we'll be launching a lot of mentorship opportunities for them, a lot of tournament programs for them, so that they could actually nurture their skill and evolve.
Yeah, I think that's very impressive. That's impressive. We'll take a short break and then we'll be right back with Mr. Mwale. So sit back, relax. We'll be right back with Mr. Mwale after this short break. Yeah, Mr. Mwale, I think this is the type of you venturing into the e-commerce, e-musica, and connecting the farmers with the necessary tools and people and the resources, and Cholwe doing the e-sport. I think this is the type of progress that we want to see young people venturing in, because I think when you look at other countries, for instance, South Africa, I think they are always in the forefront of doing some of these things. But I think I personally commend you too for what you are doing. Now we're going to transition a little bit and talk a little bit about the independence, because that's the primary purpose for our conversation up here. So I think here is a question for you. What inspired you to start e-musica, and how has it contributed to the empowering farmers and youth in Zambia?
All right, great. So if I do get time, I'll share with you probably how I've grown on to build other things that are exciting. But when you think about Imsika, I grew up in the eastern part of Zambia, and growing up in the home of a farmer, and I saw some of the struggles that he experienced, to the extent that I did not feel like ever joining the agricultural community, or joining that career or space, if I'm ever going to become anything in life. So I kind of felt like you take that route, you have signed up for poverty and being poor and all. So I decided I wanted to do anything else except agriculture, and that is how I studied computer science, because at that time I learned that Bill Gates was the richest guy, and what was he planning on studying? It was computer related, so I took that pathway. And in being there was always a tag at the back of my mind, which was to say, what problems do the people where I come from have? I don't want to be just that normal IT person, satisfied with a full 8 to 5 job and all, and that is enough. I wanted to solve problems with the knowledge I was getting, and in so doing, stumbled upon the problem that farmers were experiencing of lack of access to agricultural inputs, lack of access to market, lack of access to advisory information, as well as also lack of access to finance. And this is how we began to to chip off that big problem. It's been a very old problem, but we just jumped in there as well and started participating. And the first service obviously we provided was in the side of an e-commerce platform, where farmers could actually procure inputs and would deliver them. We have pivoted now. We started out with the crop space, pivoted. Different challenges happened along the way. Different opportunities showed up. So we pivoted strongly now to livestock and poultry, but as well still doing the crop space as a secondary product, but also opened up a physical store in Liwala along Chimburu Road for those who are in Lusaka. And we've still continued to consult and support farmers. One of the critical things that has come up in there is that when it comes to contributing to people's lives, to empowering farmers, is that we started out by going into the village, first of all, and to try and help people there. Then we realized that, by ourselves, with the capacity that we had, we couldn't completely solve the problems of a village farmer. I was trying to go and solve directly the problems of my relatives and everybody in that kind of in those circles. But we realized they couldn't afford the service we are providing. And then when pivoting, we then targeted what is called emergent farmer, because we couldn't go for the commercial farmers. Most of them are Caucasian, and they already have most of the solutions on their farm. So we felt, who else needs our problem? We found that the middle group, which is called the emergent farmers, and a lot of people in the diaspora have actually found in that space, where you are actually, keeping animals back in Zambia, or for them, some of them are just right here in Lusaka. They are keeping animals, growing crops, but they live in town while the farm is a little bit out in the outskirts, and they go there on a weekly basis, others on a monthly basis. So that's the group that we have literally settled for, and we really want to see them grow and become commercial farmers over time. So what we have done is that we are helping them, with recruitment, first of all, of farm workers who are knowledgeable. We call them hybrid farm workers, because you must understand that we categorize farm workers in 3 levels: what we call handy workers, hybrid, and brainy. Handy workers are guys who they will get the job done on the farm, but they'll never think with you. You can't give them your plans. They can't dream. They can't dream with you. They'll just get the job done. While the brainy workers, we say that they think too much. They have so many ideas. But they never get stuff done. So they'll be dreaming with. So we say the problem with the top group is that they will be thinking with you for 2 months, and nothing will be done on the farm. While the handy workers, when you have problems at your farm, they'll be calling you daily, no matter where you are, and they will never be proactive to solve those issues. But we have settled for the hybrid team, where we found that they have got a certificate or diploma, 1 or 2 years of experience. A number of times they have got both advantages. Is that they know the work physically on the ground, but as well as also they are able to to think with you. You can give them your plans and your dreams. And this is where our second solution comes in, which is that we then introduced what we call business systems, strategic planning, and business processes for the farm. So we build that for you with you involved, plus the amazing farm worker. We have seen better rewards coming out, and employment for the young people on one side. It's empowering young people. We are joining the group of the government. It feels fun, it feels exciting to be able to not only just make money, but as well as also create job employment for other people while solving problems on the farms of our employees. So we look forward to seeing how in the next 5-10 years, when we have done 1,000 to 10,000 recruitments, just being able to see a community of people we have given jobs to, as well as also farms that have shifted now, because they were working like hobbies, but now they have turned into real businesses.
So, Cholwe, you are doing a wonderful job, and we can only hope that your campaign, your company continues to grow and grow. So now here is a question for you. How did you identify esports as a viable career and business opportunities in Zambia?
I identified it as that by first realizing the opportunity and the need. So similar to how Gilbert was talking about, the small scale farmers, the emergent farmers, and then the commercial farmers, in that structure. So we also have a similar structure happening within the esports ecosystem, where we've got the middle to low income young people, and then we've got the high income young people who are coming from families that are more affluent in society. So there is kind of a gap there, because you find that the middle to low sometimes can not afford the game equipment, so they gravitate towards game centers. So we have multitude of game centers happening in high dense areas, and now even in malls, that can cater to the upper class of society. But predominantly, the majority of the game centers that are there are in the high dense areas, and they are across Zambia. So really, that is where the catch is. That's where the talent is hidden. That's where most of our talent was found. And also now it comes to the challenge of seeing that there is a call out there from huge organizations like the Esports World Cup, the Olympics, African Union Region 5, and they are seeking Zambia to be part of the table. So now where my role comes in is making sure that our athletes are prepared for these opportunities. So which means now gathering as much game centers as we can and calling them clubs under the federation, creating coaching programs, creating brand awareness programs, teaching them media training so that they're able to, present themselves well, financial training so that they're able to manage their money. We've had situations in the past where like our players would win, 60,000 kwacha and then blow it up quickly, because we didn't think of, training them financially. We just trusted that, oh, it's your money, you know what to do. So what we have to do now is really prepare ourselves for that opportunity, and that's what we're actively doing. So under my role or my hat with the federation, we'll be pushing a lot of coaching programs, a lot of policy programs, a lot of coach training programs, so that we have coaches in these game centers. The vision is to have each game center owner as a coach, and have him be the club owner of their game center, and have them recognized in each province and in each main town district, main city in a district. So that's what we need to gather the numbers together and make sure that we have talent across Zambia, really, so that we can mine the best to actually represent us on the global stage. With Team Gematrix, under our platform, my main focus would be only on the females when it comes to the trainings. That's where my passion is right now. So I pivoted a little. So I will continue supporting some of our male gamers, like in their careers, whether it's going to tournaments. But my main focus would be on trainings for the ladies, making sure that we have the numbers of females, making sure that we have them ready. We have them trained to create their own brands, because similar to StreamYard, we have YouTube and Twitch platforms that they could use to actually monetize themselves. So we're hoping that monetization on these platforms like Facebook will come up soon with our government. We'll try and see how best we can lobby from the angle of esports. But generally speaking, there's a lot of opportunity, whether it's in content creation through social media, live streaming your gameplay. There's a huge market for that, and huge revenue that's been generated by young people across the world with that, even in Africa. And the other thing is, there's another thing that's called game development, where young people can develop games from scratch. Just yesterday, I got the news that one of our local game developers, Harry Banda, won an award with Snapchat for developing an augmented reality game that's tailored for their spectacles, lenses. And he won this award in Santa Monica, California, and beat hundreds of people across the world that were as talented as him. So the potential is, yeah. So the potential is there. It's exciting, and similar to how Gilbert was speaking, and also what you said, we have a new freedom to fight. So our independence is now, picking up the pieces from our forefathers and now creating the best generational wealth that we can, pass on to the next generation. So my challenge personally as an entrepreneur is that to make sure that I lay the best foundation possible for our community so that they can achieve the reigns of success in future. So yeah, I also like that you mentioned some of the freedom fighters, because my grandfather is one of the last living freedom fighters, Mr. Mark Chona. He's the young brother of Mainza Chona. And, every time I sit down with him and he tells me stories about independence and how they pushed it's always inspiring. And I really get a lot of inspiration from him just by his stories of how he started out, how he worked in government, all those things. So that's one of my inspirations as well on the side, from family who have actually created an impact in their community that's long lasting, like a legacy that continues beyond them. So that's what I'm hoping to also achieve with esports, create a legacy that's beyond me.
We are discussing Zambia's independence 61 years later, looking back, looking in hindsight. Those who came before us did their part, and now here we are doing our part. For Premier Media, we are doing our part by bringing talented Zambians to our platform to showcase and share their stories. You are hearing from two passionate Zambians who have the fire burning within to put our country on the map, and thus improving not only their lives, but also their families as well. Now, let's circle back to Mr. Mwale.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Mwale,
Yes, please.
as we're continuing our program, here is another question for you, because I think it's just important for us to be mindful that in as much as what we are doing for ourselves, we always have the country at heart. So can you share a story of a young farmer or entrepreneur whose life or business was transformed through your company, eMsika?
Thank you, Mr. Noah, for that wonderful question. And I would like to say that, I live on the premise that, find a problem, solve it, and and then money will follow you, through that. So impact or social impact is what really drives what I do. But I'm always very preview because I've worked with several organizations, both private and as well as also donors and NGOs, that for sustainability purposes is that these vehicles that we create should have the potential to actually generate income that will allow them to last as long as possible, enriching you, the owner, the other stakeholders in the organization, but never forgetting that first of all is that it should have changed somebody's life. And coming to the question that you've asked, an example of a young person or somebody out there who we have changed. I'd like to share a story of a young lady just recently. One of the recent stories in our recruitment service that happened is that we had a lady order. I'll start with the older lady. She reached out to us by the name of Mrs. Piri, an amazing lady who lives in Lusaka, in the outskirts, as you head out into the eastern part, somewhere Chongwe. Reached out to us and said, "Hey, I'm really struggling on my farm with my farm workers. Is that I have a group of what I call handy workers, and what usually happens is that I am a little bit of a distant of about roughly about, let's say, a kilometer or two, if I'm not mistaken, from the farm, and every day I have layers there, 500 layers that I'm keeping. And every day I have to go there and go and check on the animals, check how they're doing, and then take them to the market. Then I asked her a question, but didn't you just tell me a few minutes ago that you have employees there? She says, yes, I said so. And I said, how many are there? She said, there are 2 of them. And then I was like, okay, so why do you have to go there every day? Then she complained, saying, she's the one that gave me this statement. She said, to be honest with you, Mr. Mwale, they are really just accompanying my chickens.
What role do mentorship, collaboration, and networking play in the success of young tech entrepreneurs?
That's a good question. So mentorship is actually really important. Unfortunately for me, when I was starting out, I didn't have any mentors that were actually doing what I was doing or doing what I was envisioning. So Brother YouTube and Sister Google became my mentors. And what I started to do was I started to shadow all the people I looked up to in the industry. So I wrote down a list of everyone who was doing what I was doing in South Africa. I wrote down a list of everyone who was doing what I was doing in Kenya. I wrote down a list of everyone who was doing what I was doing in the UK and in the US. And after I did that, I started to watch their channels, watch their companies, watch their new announcements, get some ideas from what they were doing. And I was able to see some of their failures and to skip those as I was watching. And then also, I wasn't afraid to reach out to these strangers who shared the same passion and vision with me and just connect with them. And because of that, I feel it's important for young tech entrepreneurs to not have fear to ask for help, not have fear to ask for assistance in you gaining more skill sets or knowledge based on your journey. So because of that, ambition and curiosity, one of the first people I reached out to in Kenya was a gentleman called Barasa Wafula. He's late, but he was a very close friend of mine. And just after connecting with him, it started with the icebreaker of them hosting a huge tournament with Liquid Telecom in Kenya. And I was amazed by it. I was like, okay, this standard is like South Africa. Like, how are you guys doing it? And he gave me a rundown. And then he just said, by the way, I heard you just launched a team. Would you be curious? Would you be interested in coming to Nairobi? Then I'm like, okay, is there buses to Nairobi? Is there a train to Nairobi? Because I can't afford to. I just launched this team. Then he's like, no, we can find a way. Okay, cool. So they informally invited us to Nairobi for our first ever tournament called Pro Series Gaming. And what we did then is we worked so hard. We did promo videos. We raised our money from friends, family, did a couple of jobs here and there, sold some merchandise, and then put together the money enough for our flights. So I flew down with 2 of our players. Some sponsors promised us money, but it never came. And as usual. And when we came back, they were posting about us because guess what? We won. We won the tournament. We beat players from Tanzania, Uganda, and Kenya when we went to that tournament. And our players just started keeping the momentum. That inspired them to actually get better. So, surrounding yourself with people who share your vision and just getting yourself out there is the first step to creating connections, to building your network, and generating collaborations. So because of that collaboration, I was able to now, I can reach out to more people. I can network with more people. I can actually get more knowledge from other people, not necessarily as a mentor, but as a peer who's on the same journey with me. So not all of us are lucky to have mentors who can be there on our beck and call. but you can really navigate it through growing your network. Your network is your value. And I believe in Zambia, your network is literally your capital. So your network can open certain doors for you that you wouldn't be able to open by yourself, pushing the goal, pushing the dream. But building a strong, valuable network of people who are doing what you want to do or who are where you want to be is very important. Surrounding yourself with people who ooze of positive energy, who have no room for doubt in their mind, because one of the killers when we're starting our journey is self-doubt. So whenever I had friends who could give me a sign or a signal of doubt, they'll be like, okay, why don't you just get married? Or why don't you, I just started cutting off. Like, I just started cutting off to say, okay, listen, there's a path that God has created for me, and I trust his vision, I trust his path, and I trust that everything will happen in his time, but I'm not going to allow myself to be surrounded by negative energy, because that will hinder me from my purpose and my vision. So make sure that you protect your circle of friends, people who you share your ear to. It should be very sacred, and make sure that your network is vast. Don't be afraid to go to someone who's very affluent and just ask for a coffee. Someone who's affluent, whether it's in government, whether it's, wherever it is. But you see that you getting that connection could help add value to your journey. Ask for a coffee. Like, hi, I'm asking for a meeting for a coffee. I would like to discuss this book I'm writing. I would like to discuss this project. I just want to get your viewpoint or your perspective, because your perspective would mean a lot to my journey. And have that coffee. Most people wouldn't reject the coffee. It's coffee. It's not dinner. It's just the coffee. And start the conversation from there. You never know. They can be inspired by what you're doing and actually open a door for you or connect you to someone else. So you're always, your connections keep you one step closer to a door that you do not see, that God has just put in place, but he's just waiting for you to take that next step. So make sure you always connect and reach out to people who add value to your journey, I should say.
Premier Media is one of the fastest growing independent media enterprises that produces bias-free content and streams educational programs to empower Africans, African Americans, and the African diaspora around the globe. Premier Media owns and operates a valuable portfolio of streaming programs, such as Primetime Show, The Circle of Love, Leadership Files, and Revolution. Not forgetting our signature development panel series, which features experts around the world that highlight challenges and opportunities in Africa, putting Africa in the center of global conversations. For more information, visit us at premiermedia.com or follow us on social media.
In the next 5 years for our country, what does independence, true independence mean? Or what type of Zambia do we want to see going forward? Let's start with Mr. Mwale. What type of Zambia do we want to see?
Thank you very much. I think that's a wonderful question. Giving us opportunity to paint a picture of what we desire, right? So one of the things that I have seen is that first of all, we are living in a very unprecedented time where one of the things we noticed in our country is that all of a sudden we used to have one particular corner where you would find minerals, for example, and it was called the copper belt. But yet now what we are noticing now is that, the minerals are coming everywhere. They are, all over the capital city. We are seeing a lot of gold springing up on people's farms, grounds, and all those things. So the thought that we had a long time ago that the mining concept is for a small group of people somewhere. They are born there. They need to learn how it's done and then figure it out by themselves. Is now almost like a countrywide issue. Is that we need to begin to understand that we are in a time as well where AI has come up now, and in the technological space. So should we be, one of the things I've loved about being in the technology space is I've realized how of an equalizer it is. It doesn't matter which part of the world you are sitting right now. You can participate and build solutions and technology that would simply make you compete with somebody who is sitting anywhere, be it in some of the forward countries like the US or China or any of those things, that you can build tools that, like she just mentioned right now, of a colleague, Mr. Banda, who has made a tool, and he's a Zambian, and is winning on a global stage. So that's what technology can do for us as a nation. We can go to the. So I'm speaking now towards the question of what we want to see. So I want to see a situation where Zambians are in the forefront of mineral production, number one, mineral processing, as well as also its marketing. We don't need a market. We don't need our minerals to go out to another market somewhere. We can create platforms that build a market for people that want to buy our minerals from us, number one. Number two, we have been building technology as a nation through what is called the Smart Zambia technology or initiative. And what they have done is amazing so far by digitizing most of the government processes. But I feel now it's time that we plug that platform and create it. I was telling the one who's head, I said, sir, we now need to turn this from what is called a government bus into a government train, because we need to see the digital tools built by youths, built by Zambians, actually plugged in, and their platform just sits as what you would think of as what we have as Play Store, as a Play Store. So they become our country store, where all our technology sits on top of it, be it for mining, be it for agriculture, be it for everything else. And we have the expertise in the country to be able to do that. Myself, Cholwe, who's sitting right here, several other people, we know what to do and we can get it done. So I want to see a situation where we have now stepped away, because I think they're already realizing now, I think in the nation, that we have the capacity to do these things. But I want to see 5 years from now, they have now taken the step to give us back the reins, to allow us to do what we are capable of doing. And we are asking for very little. We know how to raise funds by ourselves. So we don't need them to do that for us. We know where to find the funds. We know how to raise them. We know how to present that information to the necessary people. We know how to build the solutions. We know how to take the solutions to market. So all we simply need is them to stand aside and just simply say, here are the problems. Could you actually help us in solving them? So I want to see a Zambia that has its leaders literally saying, I'm going to step aside and allow the young people who know what to do come forward and do what you need to do. Thank you.
Yeah. I think you see, you make a very good point. There come a time when those who have been in power for the longest at least pave the way to the new and next generation, because the people who fought for freedom did what they did and they contributed to the betterment of the country, and here we are. Now there come a time when the baton is passed on to Cholwe to run her race, so that at least she is able to do what she can. Just like, Mr. Mwale, the baton is passed on to you. You are doing great, meaningful things there at Sika. So, Cholwe, where do you see eSpart 3 to 5 years from now?
To be honest, it's a bit mind blowing for me to actually even put into words. But where my impact is I'm seeing Zambia on multiple global stages. I'm seeing a lot of schools have esports as an actual club, much like it is in the West, where we can have athletes get actual scholarships for their university because they were good in our sport. I see opportunities for young kids who are constantly in game centers after school, finding out that if they play on a certain date, they get to qualify and participate for a regional tournament that would land them a slot in a team. I see us everywhere in Qatar, Dubai, the US, at the Olympics. Next year we're supposed to be in LA for the Global Esports Games. So I'm seeing a lot of young people getting on planes for the first time, experiencing something that their families have never experienced for the first time, and that igniting a fire in them to really aspire for a better life for themselves and their communities. So that's the beauty about esports. And one of the things that I'd like to say about esports is it's similar to the way we talk about freedom. One of the things our forefathers achieved, the reason why they achieved independence is because of unity. Right now, we are struggling with unity as a country. And I'm hoping that we can come back to that because that will help us with the next phase of our country. So similar to esports, right now the work I have is, to unite all the segments together so that we can push forward towards the vision. And I know that once we are completely united with all the game centers across the country and everything, then everything will just work smoothly and along the plan. So that's one of the key things. And one of the things I'd like to also talk about is the beauty of how video games connect us, because I have friends who I consider my best friends who I've never met before, but we just play online together. These are friends who have actually helped me pay rent before because I'm just like, you just hop on a game and you're like, oh, this, that. And then someone is like, okay, here's something, pay some rent. And I've also done the same. Here's a wedding gift. So, it's a beautiful sport because it's so uniting with people outside your country. You find yourself playing with someone in Pakistan, you find yourself playing with someone in the UK, and you find that you have the same life issues, the same challenges, you're on the same journey, but you find that mutual support and community. And I can't wait for the country to realize that there's this tool that's there to actually connect with young people. And I can't wait for the world to actually visualize it even more than we are doing it in Africa right now. So yeah, that's where I see esports within the next 3 to 5 years being very successful in Zambia.
Cholwe Shabukali, talk to the country of Zambia. What is your message to the country this year's independence celebration, and in light of what you are doing promoting the country outside to the rest of the world? Your final message to our listeners and the viewers.
My final message is to the young athletes, first of all. I know that it may be hard to convince your parents about electronic sports and it being a viable opportunity for a career path or a great sub-hobby for you. But I encourage you to share, some of the content that's around on YouTube. Make a presentation, share to your parents the success stories that are there from our Zambian athletes, from people around Africa, and explain to them the opportunity that's there for you to be a part of it. We'll be launching an academy soon with the Esports Federation, and we'll be launching programs with Team Gematrix as well. So feel free to reach out to us. we could help you with that conversation. To the parents, I'd also like them to also remember that things are not the way they were before. Everything has become digital. Opportunities have evolved towards the digital spectrum, and so has sports as well. So you can allow your kid to play soccer, but also understand that now video games are now a sport, and there's also an opportunity equally for them in that. So the same equivalent respect you give them to a soccer game or netball is the same that you should now start looking at. And the beauty about esports is you can easily just Google and research yourself as a parent and see how best you can nurture your child's skill and how best you can present them towards the best opportunities that are viable for them, whether it's as a game developer, whether it's as a gamer or a content creator that creates programs like this one for the esports community, or someone who creates merchandise. Follow us on Team Gematrix on Facebook. We'll be launching merchandise soon. That will be on sale. I'm wearing one t-shirt, a vintage t-shirt, but we'll be launching our pro jerseys to the Zambian ecosystem soon at cheaper rates. So that's what I would like to encourage parents to the young entrepreneurs or young athletes to really be open-minded to this opportunity, because I would hate for us to have our next talent miss out on a grand opportunity because we just didn't have that open mind. So let's evolve with the world, but let's also be cautious. So we will be doing a lot of safeguarding workshops for parents and for the community, so that you can understand how best to protect your child when they are embedded in these activities. So we'll do our best, and we hope that you can give us a chance to create the best stars in Zambia and Africa for the next generation. Thank you.
The word Samaritan is a derivative of Zambia and Samaritan. We define a Samaritan as an individual that volunteers their most valuable resource, which is time, for the amelioration of their communities. Community refers not to spatial connectivity, but to individuals and groups with common interests and goals. At Samaritan, we believe that enhanced citizen participation, which is the inclusion of independent individuals, helps transition communities economically, using education as the initial change driver, resulting in socioeconomic improvement. Our mission, Samaritan's mission, is to promote the efficacy of the education system and existing structures of local institutions through close collaboration with volunteers who would add value through the myriad of life experiences, academic achievements, and corporate exposure. This translates into effective and efficient operations through the mobilization of volunteers. Our vision to be the overarching pioneer in promoting volunteerism in Zambia through education. Join the movement, www.zamaritan.org.
All right, people. So we are in the final stretch. So Mr. Mwale, your final thoughts, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Noah, for the opportunity, first of all, to be on this call again. It's a great pleasure. And I would like to just simply say that, I would like to appreciate the farmers out there who are feeding the nation, in the sense that we have a nation that almost a year ago or so, we were experiencing struggles with food security. And consistently, we have seen a year, just last year, I think we were able to hit the bumper harvest. And you can see the devastating outcomes that comes in a situation when there is not enough food. Nations almost go into a place where there's almost, chaos, where people are almost, fighting against the peace of the nation. So we do realize the importance of agriculture. And what my prayer is to see that every gets to a place where they grow out of the hard end form of agriculture to a place where they can introduce technology in their agriculture activities, so that we can get much more results and as well as also bigger returns for the small scale farmers or emergent farmers, while at the same time being able to be food secure as a nation. So we need to get to a place where a very small piece of land is producing bigger results, because we are far much more knowledgeable. We are as well also having youth and young people who have the technical know-how and the ability to actually manage what the farm owners are actually doing. So as we come to this year's independence, my cry is that we should be, I'm making this bold statement that a lot of people are probably not even excited about. I'm saying that if young people like me, Cholwe, or anything like that are found again working on a farm, plowing, that will be in the next 5 to 10 years. Or if they do it to the age where we are right now, that will be a failure for us as a nation again. We shouldn't see any of them on farms that way, because there is so many things that technology has done that could actually transform the way farming is done, the level of production and the results, without having these young people sitting on those farms that way. We need to see them move on to go and actually produce bigger, get into the knowledge economy, get into this AI economy, and give us the returns as a nation that we do require. So I am excited to see the future of the nation. I'm excited to, to celebrate this year's independence. But much more than that, it just rings a bell at the back of my mind of responsibility. For me as a young man, and for every other young person out there to say, you may cry about what the current, elderly people are doing, but the question is that what you would want to have when they have left? What do you want to see afterwards? So that is your baby. That is for you to. That's your baby to nurse, and you can start contributing towards that about now. Thank you.
Well said, well put, Mr. Mwale. Yeah, so you've been listening to Premier Media's Independence Celebration Part 2. Our focus for today, we're looking at youth and entrepreneurship. It's time to look within, not necessarily looking to Boma. Look to yourself and come up with something so that next time we'll be featuring you on our program. Thank you and bye for now. Thank you, our special guest, Cholwe, and thank you, Mr. Mwale.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.